Take a look at this picture. It's Nelson Mandela before he got arrested in 1962. And compare it with this one. It's another picture of him after spending 27 years in prison. Notice any difference? Well, the public is saying that these are two different people. And some of the ANC ex-members had said that might be true. Some said that the young Nelson Mandela before imprisonment is the real one. The one who got released after 27 years is fake. His real name is Gibson Makana.
The 27th of April next year is the day of reckoning. We are going to bury the National Party. I said, Mr. de Klerk is not the president of South Africa. He is the president of the whites.
Sought to turn black against black and fomented groups.
We were lucky to have even 10 minutes of his time for the family. He had given his life totally to the struggle, and it would have been wrong of us to stand in his way. This was a fulfillment of the people's dreams that would come out of prison.
Before I started diving deep in this topic, I didn't know that there's an ocean size of communities who believes in these theories. And they pretty much ask valid questions. And trust me, the deeper I go, the more darker things they get. Instead of giving me answers, they just give me more questions. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born on July 1918 in a small village of Mvezo in Eastern Cape of South Africa. His early life was shaped by customs of Xhosa people and historical context of colonialism and racial segregation in South Africa. Mandela's involvement in politics began when he joined the African National Congress in 1944. At that time, the apartheid regime was tightening its control over black South Africans throughout institutionalized racial discrimination. Mandela quickly became a prominent figure in the anti-apartheid struggle. In the 1950s, he helped organize mass resistance against apartheid laws, promoting non-violence defiance at first. However, as the government's repression grew more severe, Mandela's stance shifted. By 1961, he had co-founded Umkhonto weSizwe, which meant Spear of the Nation. This was the armed wing of the ANC, which carried out sabotage campaigns against government targets. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and eventually sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for plotting to overthrow the apartheid government. He spent the next 27 years in prison, with the majority of his time on Robben Island, a desolate island prison off the coast of Cape Town. During his imprisonment, Mandela became the face of global anti-apartheid movement, and Free Nelson Mandela became a rallying cry worldwide. In 1990, under growing internal resistance and international pressure, the South African government led by F.W. de Klerk released Mandela from prison. His release marked the beginning of the end of apartheid. In 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial elections, and Mandela was elected president. He served one term, during which he prioritized reconciliation between South Africans' racial groups and sought to heal the wounds inflicted by decades of apartheid. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now Mandela is out. It's been a long time. People have been waiting for this. They saw him as a symbol of hope. However, not everyone thought so. Some other people labeled him as a quote-unquote a sellout. And so many questions and theories were raised. Yeah, I know, that might be new to you, so let me explain how did that happen. Despite Mandela's well-documented and remarkable life, conspiracy theories have emerged that challenging his authenticity, particularly after his release from Robben Island. Some of the most prevalent theories include the notion that Mandela was replaced by an imposter after his imprisonment, that he was compromised by the apartheid regime. And obviously, some of these rumors are not 100% proven, but most of them have gained traction in certain corners of the internet. This theory kind of seems too good to be true. I mean, back in the days, people that were against the apartheid law, they were getting unalived. Let alone if you're a leader, it is worse for you. While I was searching about this topic, something caught my eye. The CIA was involved in Nelson Mandela's imprisonment. And if you know CIA, you know that they pretty do some dark things. They take people who are against the law and lock them out far away from their homes. And if you do not cooperate, you won't be alive.
There's some cellophane or material over your mouth, and then they pour water on this cellophane. You can't breathe, and it feels like the water is going down your throat.
This is a real thing. CIA is real, and the government is using a lot of money to hide it away from you. And the reason why they're hiding away from the public is because these people are very powerful. They are bigger than the government.
I want to be absolutely clear with our people and the world. The United States does not torture. It's against our laws and it's against our values. I have not authorized it, and I will not authorize it.
And looking at how big the CIA is, it's actually got me scratching my head and making theories myself. Okay, I think I got something here. There's a theory that I made, which is very similar with the replacement one. But I did just do my research, and trust me, it is very interesting. And it goes like this. In 1962, the CIA provided African government with information that led to Mandela's arrest. But this got me raising questions about the CIA's motives and the extent of their involvement in Mandela's life. The CIA history of manipulating and controlling individuals is well documented. They have been known to use a variety of tactics, including torture, psychological manipulation, and hypnosis, to extract information and influence behavior. Given their involvement in Mandela's imprisonment, it is possible that they used these tactics to create a body double or impersonator. This would have allowed them to control Mandela's actions and decisions, potentially using him as a pawn in their large geopolitical game. The reality is that CIA arrested Mandela because he was becoming too influential and powerful. He was a very powerful leading figure in the anti-apartheid movement. Mandela was a threat to the CIA's interest in South Africa, and by imprisoning him, they hoped to neutralize his influence and prevent him from becoming a rallying point for the movement. However, this plan may have backfired, as Mandela's imprisonment only served to popularize the movement and make him an international symbol of the resistance. Now, the theory is, the real Mandela was killed long time ago, but because the public was against his arrest and it even grabbed the international attention, the CIA may have decided to create a body double or impersonator, mainly to control Mandela's actions and decisions, potentially using him to further their own interest. The fact that Mandela's release from prison in 1990 was followed by a series of strange and unexpected events has only added fuel to the conspiracy theory. Many people have pointed out that Mandela's behavior and demeanor after his release seemed differently from what they had expected. Alright. These theories, they can actually make you question their existence. And the government response is the one that makes this whole thing very suspicious. They quickly attacked the Facebook page that posted very deep valid questions. I mean, why did they flag the page instead of answering those questions? And guess what? I have that poster. It looks like this. Apartheid whites faked their own Nelson Mandela. Ask yourself why we're celebrating 67 minutes of Mandela. It's because the real Mandela died in 1985 at the age of 67. There is nothing on earth called 67 minutes. That's why Winnie Madikizela Mandela did not want to marry the fake Mandela. So they made it as if Winnie had an affair and Mandela divorced her. Ask yourself, why did Zuma become a president? The guy who didn't even complete his matric. Zuma knows the truth. Mbeki knows the truth. Even Ramaphosa knows that. This guy who died at the age of 95 is not the real Nelson Mandela. It goes on saying that Nelson Mandela, we know he was not the only one who was in jail. There were 9 accused, but Nelson Mandela came back alone. They went ahead putting on everyone's name that was arrested with Nelson Mandela and continuing saying, quote, "We only know the names, but we never saw them. We only see them on pictures." The secret is that Nelson Mandela spent years fighting for our future, fighting for South Africa, fighting for Africa. And based on reading his history, he kind of risked a lot. He was so obsessed with freedom and independence. He chose to fight for freedom over his own family, his own wife and kids. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you consider subscribing if you like the channel. And I promise you, next Monday we have a new video that will be posted. It's gonna be a banger, trust me.